Morning, everyone. It's Leah Klein, Health and Wholeness Coach. And my question for you today is, are you shaken? Our verses are Hebrews 12:28 and 29. Therefore, let us be grateful for receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken. And thus let us offer to God acceptable worship with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire. The basis for our foundation, our solidity, shall we say, under our feet, uh, even though the world seems to be shaking around us, is that God's kingdom cannot be shaken. And that's obviously a very reassuring thought when some other things in our lives seem to be shaking and blowing in the breeze. But we have a basis in gratitude that's based on the faith that we know that that's true, that his kingdom is immovable and his kingdom isn't going anywhere. And whether we can see it at all times, it's there. And we can be grateful for that. We can be grateful for that being our solid foundation. And therefore, because of the gratitude we have for his unshakableness, therefore we are to worship God. And breaking this down a little bit, it's acceptable worship. And then it's basically kind of defining what acceptable worship is a little bit with reverence and awe. Now, I decided to look up what these words mean in the dictionary and to try to, get a little more understanding on what that was saying. Reverence is a feeling of profound awe and respect, and often love. A synonym for it is to honor. Now, awe is very interesting. A feeling of respect or reverence mixed with dread and wonder, often inspired by something majestic or powerful. Isn't that amazing? And this brings us to our, consuming fire part of our passage. And I won't claim to 100%, understand everything of what that might mean in our context, but think about that definition of awe. He is far above us. He is holy. He is set apart. And while through Christ's death and his payment, we are able to approach in a way that they could not approach in the Old Testament. We have access, but that doesn't make God any less. It just means we've been covered so that we are not consumed, because we would be otherwise. Being in his presence is far beyond anything we physically in our bodies could take or our minds could even grasp. There is always an element that you want to remember in this of, he is all powerful. He is almighty. He is sovereign. And not to forget that in our approach. And not to go to him as if he's just a kindly grandfather that's going to give us our every wish. There's a little more to the relationship than that. And while he loves us, he is also just. He is also merciful, but he is also sovereign. And because of that, any impurity in us is burned up in his presence, whether literally or figuratively. So post in the comments below if you have any thoughts on this. This is a little deeper sometimes than what we have dug into. And I will see you again next week. See you then.